What's going on, everyone? This is Dom, and today we're getting into a comparison between the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip and the Galaxy Fold. And if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can be notified when new videos like this drop in the future. But let's get started. So obviously we had the Fold make its debut before Samsung's Galaxy Z Flip, and they're both foldables and they're both actually pretty darn cool. But let's talk about some of the use cases here and like the general reliability, the design, things like that. So when it comes to the sizes between these two, obviously, depending on how you look at it, the Fold is going to be much bigger. When unfolded, the Fold is absolutely huge. I mean, this thing is more like a folding tablet than it is a folding smartphone. Now, when the Galaxy Z Flip is unfolded, it actually has a taller display than the Galaxy Fold. And, you know, that can be important for a number of reasons, but really it comes down to personal preference and what specifically you need. As far as unfolding and folding them, one-hand ability, well, I can easily unfold or fold either of the devices using just one hand. That's not really necessarily a problem. Obviously, you throw anything one-handed out the window when you're dealing with the large display on the Galaxy Fold versus the Z Flip, but the tall display on the Z Flip is also hard to maneuver with one hand, as you can't necessarily reach the entire display just with your thumb. As far as the design goes between these two, they're actually very, very similar in terms of the outer look, the design of the actual phone. One is obviously bigger than the other, but the hinges look the same from the backside, the way it unfolds is the same. I mean, everything down to the little details is more or less similar in terms of just the basic design between these two. On top of that, they both do have fingerprint sensors on the side of the device, but the Galaxy Z Flip's fingerprint sensor also acts as its lock button. In terms of thickness, the Galaxy Fold and the Galaxy Z Flip are basically the same. I mean, when it comes to one being taller than the other, whether it's folded or open, you know, that's whatever, but pocket space, thickness, pretty much the same. They both feel very sturdy in the hands. I didn't feel like either of them was gonna break in my hand instantly or anything like that. Now, I did notice a little more play in the hinge on the Galaxy Fold versus the Z Flip. It's much more sturdy when folding and unfolding the Z Flip versus the Fold. You just have a little bit more play. I think the spring mechanism is a little bit different in the Galaxy Fold, and that just comes with the fact that that's Samsung's first generation foldable, and I think that they've learned a little bit. So as far as the displays go between these two, there was a lot of controversy with the displays on both of these devices. Before anyone starts saying about how easily either of these displays scratch, I don't think that the durability tests out there are a good example of how this phone holds up in daily, real-world use. That is very important. When the screen is folded shut, it's not really going to get scratched as easily, even compared to a regular smartphone with Gorilla Glass. And both of these displays have not been babied. Neither of the phones have been babied during use, and they both look absolutely fantastic still. The displays actually feel the same to the touch. When I'm touching the Galaxy Fold, when I'm swiping on it, when I'm tapping on it versus the Z Flip, you can't really tell a difference, even though Samsung is using an ultra thin glass layer on the Z Flip. I don't think that that makes a difference in clarity. I don't think it makes a difference in how it feels on your fingers. They literally feel the same. Of course, we have a giant 1-inch cutout on the Galaxy Fold that houses the cameras, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but I do prefer the single small camera cutout for the Galaxy Z Flip. Now, obviously, as you would expect, being a larger device, well, it has a larger crease down the middle of it when unfolded. And I'm talking about the Galaxy Fold here versus the Flip, where we just have basically half that size of a crease. Now, to me, the crease kind of disappears during normal use. It doesn't really make a big difference, at least in my opinion. But speaking about those displays, when unfolded, the Galaxy Fold has a massive 7.3-inch display, and it has a resolution of 2152 by 1536. Now, over on the Galaxy Z Flip, we have a 6.7-inch display measured diagonally, and that has a resolution of 1080 by 2636. A big difference here, besides obviously the more usable surface area on the Galaxy Fold, comes with the outside displays. On the outside of the Galaxy Fold, we have a 4.6-inch display that has a resolution of 1680 by 720. Now, this display is actually fully usable as a regular phone. I mean, it might be a little small compared to what you're used to, but there is a fully usable smartphone on the outside of the Fold, and that's definitely a clear advantage. Over on the Galaxy Flip, when this this thing is folded shut, we have a 1.1 inch display with a resolution of 112 by 300. So you're not really getting a whole ton of usability there, just notifications and the ability to answer calls, small things like that. Now, when it comes to specifications on the Galaxy Fold, we have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855. There is 12 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of internal storage, and no micro SD card slot here. We also do have a 4380 milliamp hour battery here, and when it comes to the specs on the Galaxy Z Flip, we have the Snapdragon 855 Plus, 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage, and just like the Fold, there's no micro SD card expansion here, but we do have a 3300 milliamp hour battery inside of the Z Flip. So let's talk about some of the advantages between these two devices. As far as the Galaxy Fold goes, I mean, there is a laundry list of advantages here. Obviously, we have the Fold UI that can start from the outer display and unfold into something bigger, obviously, on the inside display. So we have some fluency between what you're doing on the outside display, and when you unfold it, it will launch that same application and have everything right where you left off at, which is definitely a good thing here. Of course, watching anything on a bigger screen is going to be better, obviously. I mean, we have a 7.3 inch display on the Fold, so watching media is definitely a win here if you can deal with the letterboxing that happens there. But we also do have stereo speakers here, and all in all, the Galaxy Fold is like I said before, it's more like a folding tablet than it is a folding smartphone. The Z Flip nails the folding smartphone aspect to where it takes up, less space, technically speaking, when folded because, well, it's less than half the size of the length of the Galaxy Fold, which is obviously beneficial for pocket space. And we have arguably better battery life on the Galaxy Fold. I mean, bigger battery. Obviously, we have a bigger screen, so you have to take that into consideration. But the numbers here, I mean, the Galaxy Fold definitely gets a little bit better battery life than the Z Flip. So as far as advantages go for the Galaxy Z Flip, I mean, obviously the one-hand ability here is miles different. Even when unfolded, you have much better use with one hand than you do on the Galaxy Fold. And this is a second generation folding device from Samsung. So they have learned from mistakes in the past, and they've taken those improvements and put them into the Z Flip. Now, as you can assume, the Z Flip is more compact, and I personally prefer the taller display over the wider display, but that is kind of going to be up to personal preference. And on top of that, the Z Flip is less distracting when folded because you have just that small little display. So when it's folded, everything's kind of out of sight, out of mind, versus on the Galaxy Fold, we have that larger screen that will light up every time you get a notification. Aside from being lighter than the Galaxy Fold, the Z Flip also has that nostalgic flip phone feeling because of its form factor. It is cheaper substantially than the Galaxy Fold as well, so that's something to take into consideration. So let's talk about those cameras. Now, on the outside of the Galaxy Fold, above that usable little display there on the front, we do have a 10 megapixel selfie camera that has an aperture of f2.2, and on the inside where the notch is, there's actually a 10 megapixel camera with the same aperture and an 8 megapixel RGB depth sensor. Now, on the back side of the Fold, we have a triple camera setup, and we have a 16 megapixel ultra wide camera, we have a 12 megapixel wide angle camera, and a 12 megapixel telephoto camera, so you have plenty of options to play with in terms of taking pictures. Now, when it comes to the Galaxy Z Flip, we have a 10 megapixel selfie camera that's in that little cutout on the display, which I personally like so much, but around the backside, we have dual 12 megapixel cameras. One of those is an ultra wide camera, and the other one is just your standard camera lens. So you don't get any telephoto lens with the Galaxy Z Flip. Now, I'm not sure if that's a big deal to anybody out there. It doesn't matter to me, but let me know what you think in the comments section. Obviously, the software between these two is slightly different. I mean, we do have split screen views for both of them, which is great. And honestly, they both are pretty fantastic devices. It's just whether or not you're willing to shell out the money for the Galaxy Fold over the Z Flip, or if you like the form factor of the Z Flip over the larger tablet-sized Galaxy Fold. I personally think both of them are great, but I wanted to give you guys kind of a consumer's comparison between the Galaxy Fold and the Galaxy Z Flip in case you're on the fence about getting either one of these devices. They're both great. They both feel durable. Obviously, there's been some controversy between these two devices over the past week with the Z Flip and over the past months with the Galaxy Fold, but I think that they're both pretty great. Personally, I would pick the Z Flip over the Fold. I like the form factor, and I like everything about the Z Flip in its small little compact package. Now, obviously, they are kind of the same in terms of thickness when in your pocket, but I just like the smaller Z Flip, and it just seems like a much more cool future forward device. But I want to know which one of these devices you prefer. Let me know with a comment down below, and if you enjoyed this video, leave it a thumbs up. And also, like I said, if you're new around here, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when new videos like this drop in the future. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really do appreciate it. This is Dom, and I will catch you in the next video.